When I was 13, I had this thing called a reoccurring dream. It's a dream that you experience over and over again, and the same thing happens every time. And a lot of people say it's supposed to symbolize something. And in this dream, what happened is I go to school. It's a normal school day, everything's happening as per usual. I walk in, I get to talking to some of my friends, and we start working on some classwork. It's pretty much nothing like a dream at all, actually. It pretty much just feels like real life because this is actually what I did do every day. And in this class, as we're working, the teacher mentions that later at the end of the day, we're going to have a surprise, something special that we're going to do all together as a class. Now, this had made all the students pretty excited for whatever it was that we were about to experience at the end of the day when we finish all of our work. So me and all of my classmates are sitting there trying to understand and guess what it is that we're going to get surprised with. One of my friends kept mentioning that he thought it was going to be a party, that we're gonna all be able to eat like a bunch of cake and desserts and stuff. I don't know why this was so specific, but this is what he said every time. And then other students thought it was gonna be something where we got to go outside and have recess. So as we're doing our work and things keep progressing on and on, eventually we get towards the end of finishing it up. And as we're finishing our work, the teacher tells us what the surprise is, and they said it was going to be a surprise talent show, which doesn't seem to make any sense. Like, I feel like people do care about that, but in school, we're more excited about eating sweet treats, going outside, playing, all of that sort of stuff, not a talent show. That was nothing that we really cared about. But this was something more special to me because ever since I was a little kid, I took guitar lessons where I would go in and I basically was taught exactly how to play the guitar as it seems. And whenever I would play the guitar, I felt a sense of letting go because at this point in my life, I was very stressed. I had issues with my family. I had a lot of just different issues. I honestly felt kind of self-conscious at school. And when I was playing my guitar, that was the one time that I feel like I had somewhat of an escape from everything else in my life. It was almost like the second I started playing, I zoned out. And my mind could not think about all of the good or bad things or the things that were making me anxious in my life. It kind of just all honed in on this one thing. So when the teacher brings up something like a talent show, it's really weird because this directly targets what I was doing outside of school and just in my own personal life. And at the time of me taking these guitar lessons, I was so obsessed with watching musical type movies. Not musicals, but movies that involve music. And there was one specifically that I can't remember the name of, but it was essentially these kids who learned to play guitar and they all had to lead up to play this one big show. So this is what I was thinking in the back of my head is like, this movie was so cool. It was my favorite one. And I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I always used to watch these sort of movies that made me, and when I liked one, I would always watch it on repeat over and over and over again. And this was one of those movies. Now, as I was watching it, the main character basically learned how to play the guitar, and he was really bad at the start, but over time he got better and better and better until eventually he became one of the best. And when he became the best, that's when came the opportunity for him to go play on stage in front of a bunch of people and pretty much show them his skills. So I sort of felt like I was the main character in this whole thing, which sounds kind of corny, but it's exactly what I was thinking. So in my room, and this is in real life, this is not in a dream, I would always sit there and practice certain songs in case this opportunity ever came up for me to, I guess, perform in somewhat of a talent show. And I would practice, I would say 3 songs that I would play over and over and over until I mastered them. And I made sure that these were songs that everybody knew, songs that people could get along with, that they were familiar with, that they really liked. And whenever I was practicing these songs, my mind would go to that place where all the stresses and all the things that I was worrying about that I talked about before would go away. But now, instead of just kind of being in my head, I was at that specific moment of playing in front of a crowd of people, kind of like a talent show. It's what I would think every time I played. Every time I practiced these songs, I practiced like I was going to be playing it in front of a bunch of people. And I kept doing it until eventually the dream would always pretty much end at that one point right before we got to the talent show. But one night, I had the dream again, and it is so weird because it started the same way every single time. It's like my mind was repeating a movie that I used to watch or something like that because it just ended up in the same spot every time. And right before the talent show, it would end. But this time in my dream, we actually made it to the talent show, and it was time to play my song. So I remember getting up with my guitar. My palms were sweating like crazy because I was really nervous, and I would get up on stage, sit down, and just get ready to play. And when I was dreaming this, the thought in my head literally gave me chills of how much I would enjoy doing this, and it almost felt like a life purpose or something for whatever reason. Until eventually, I ended up playing this concert, and pretty much everybody in my whole school went crazy. They all loved it. They were cheering. and it was almost like the dream had come true. Now, because I had this dream so often, I felt like it was a symbol that it would happen in real life or something like that. And eventually, there was an opportunity for this to happen. Throughout high school, I continued playing guitar. I stopped taking lessons, but I kept practicing in my room, kind of just preparing for maybe one day that I get to use this skill in front of a bunch of people to see if they like it. So now, as I'm waiting for an opportunity to maybe eventually play my guitar in front of a bunch of people, the opportunity came up. And there was a school talent show. This school talent show, though, was huge. It wasn't like some small thing in elementary school where there's like a few people. It's like hundreds and hundreds of people. And this talent show was something that happened right before everybody graduated. So in a way, it took away some of the pressure, because let's say you did the talent show and you did really bad. It didn't really matter, because regardless, you're not going to see most of these people anyway. You're just going to end high school and probably not see them again. So why not give it your best shot is pretty much what everybody would think. So as the time kept approaching, I was thinking in my head, I'm going to sign up for this talent show. I need to do it. I need to show people. But eventually, the time had come. And I got way too nervous to actually commit to doing it. And I decided anyway I was going to buy tickets to this talent show just to see what I was missing out on. So I go there. It's an auditorium full of people, like literally, like I don't even know. It might have been over 1,000. I'm not totally sure how many people were seated, but it was a lot. It was like as far as the eye could see. And there were people essentially performing a show for us, and it was other students that I would see in class, thinking, like, wow, this person doesn't seem like they would do a talent show, but they did it. And all of these people would perform, more and more people, until eventually it came to an end. And during the time watching this talent show, it was like everything that I had ever dreamed of in any of my dreams. It was pretty much exactly what I thought it would be like, except I wasn't up there. And then looking back after I finished school, it made me realize that I made a mistake. I wanted to do something, and I guess the fear of other people thinking bad about me or making fun of me or something like that kept me from doing something that I had basically had a dream of for life. Like, I've always dreamed of this. It's literally in my dreams. And from that moment, I was watching this, and it literally gave me chills. It made me think of all of the dreams that I had as the talent show was going on, and it was the coolest, one of the most interesting things. And I don't really care for music that much, which is surprising considering all the dreams and all the times I play guitar and all this. It's not about the music. It's about the feeling, I guess, of showcasing yourself in front of a lot of people. And ever since then, I felt sort of like a void of, like, I let that one opportunity that I had in my lifetime slip by. I will never get that again. And it reminded me of all of the people who I see going around day to day. I have people come up to me on the street all the time as I'm walking around the city. I live in Miami, so people who follow me come up to me all the time. It's like younger kids sometimes it's people my age, sometimes people older, but a lot of times it is people younger than me. And when I see them, I wonder, is there anything that they have that they wish they could do with their life that they're not doing? So now anytime I see these kids, I always tell them, you got to shoot your shot, you got to do it. And it sounds so cliche. It sounds something like you hear in the movies, or you hear, I guess, old people tell you, like, you only have one life, whatever. But now that I've lived that, every time I see you guys, it really makes me think, I wish somebody had told me to just go for it, because I didn't. And now I'll never get that opportunity again. But what I will say is that ever since then, I have looked at life differently. When I see things that I may never get to do again, once in a lifetime opportunities, I always take them. Even if it can distract me from my ways of making money, if it distracts me from my business, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, there are certain memories that can be worth more than $1 million. And to me, that, if I had actually done it, would have been one of those memories. That's what I truly believe. I think it was a sign, and I guess I missed it. But I can say one thing for sure. One thing that I started doing ever since then because of that is making content and making it wholeheartedly, knowing that I'm fully committing to this and it has to work because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So let's say all of my social media fell off tomorrow. It would still be worth it because I'm doing what my younger self would have wanted me to do. It's taking the risk. It's doing the thing that not everybody's willing to do. It's doing something that you can look back and be proud of yourself for doing. And to me, making a video like this one that I'm making right now, which, by the way, I honestly didn't want to. It's like in the middle of the night. It's like 1 a.m. right now. But I'm still doing it. And I'm very glad that I am. So if there's one message I can leave with you, it's please just take the risk on whatever opportunity it is. Whatever that one thing is that keeps you from sleeping at night. Just go for it. I promise you it'll be worth it. It took me 19 years to learn that. So hopefully that helps.